Welcome. I spent decades as a city detective, where every case had a logical solution. My world was built on cold, hard facts, not ghosts or curses. Now retired, I am taking on a new kind of case. The ones people blame on the paranormal. They see phantoms, but I look for facts, because where others see the supernatural, I always find a truth far more chilling. This particular case began when the call came from the director of a city-run museum, a place that held relics of ancient civilizations and masterpieces of the modern world. The director, a man of quiet academic calm, sounded like his entire world had been turned upside down. "Detective," he stammered, his voice laced with pure dread, "we've had an incident. A security guard, he's gone, and the staff, they raised saying the statues did it." The museum was a grand, imposing structure, a place of hushed reverence and silent wonder. Its most famous collection was a gallery of ancient statues, classical figures of gods, heroes, and warriors, meticulously preserved. For generations, these statues had been a source of fascination and pride, but also of a local legend. It was said that the statues were the silent guardians of the museum, and that on quiet nights, they would move, their stone eyes watching over the priceless treasures they protected. It was a quaint myth, a charming piece of local folklore. But recently, the myth had taken a terrifying turn. A security guard, a man named Robert, was found dead in the statue gallery. His body was discovered in a strange, ritualistic pose next to an ancient statue of a Greek warrior, his arms and legs twisted in a way that defied explanation. The cause of death was ruled a heart attack, but the director, seeing the terror in his steadfast eyes and the unsettling circumstances, called me. The staff was convinced the statues had finally come to life to punish Robert for a transgression, and the silent guardians had become killers. I walked into that museum, and the silence was unnerving. The air was thick with the scent of aged stone and fear. I listened to the director and the terrified staff. Their voices hushed as they pointed towards the statues and spoke of the malevolent glares they had witnessed. I heard their stories, but I wasn't looking for ghosts. I was looking for a pattern, a motive, and a human hand. My investigation began not with the statues, but with the victim. Robert was a quiet, unassuming man, but his life was not as simple as it seemed. I discovered a bitter, simmering feud between him and another security guard, a man named Michael. Robert, I found, had been having an affair with Michael's wife, a young, beautiful art historian who worked in the museum. Michael, consumed by jealousy and a need for revenge, had been blackmailing Robert for months, threatening to reveal the affair to his wife and the museum director. This was not a spirit of vengeance. This was an act of calculated greed. I then turned my attention to the crime scene, the statue gallery. The police had already secured the scene, but I noticed something they had missed. On the floor, next to Robert's body, was a small, almost invisible metal wire, so thin it was almost transparent. It was attached to the statue's foot, and it led into a small, dark hole in the floor. This was not the work of a ghost. This was the work of a person. I had a team of forensic analysts brought in. They meticulously examined every inch of the wire, Robert's body, and the statue. The lab results were startling, ripping through the veil of superstition like a hot knife through butter. The wire, it was a trace amount of a specific, highly potent psychoactive compound, a type of designer drug that was not yet on the market. It was a sophisticated, invisible poison. The air in the gallery also contained trace amounts of a powerful, hallucinogenic aerosol, a compound that, when absorbed through the skin or inhaled, had a devastating effect on the nervous system. Now, the whole sinister picture snapped into focus. This wasn't a cursed video game. This was a man consumed by a need for revenge and professional recognition who had used his intimate knowledge of technology and a very specific, very advanced piece of technology as a weapon. Here's how it went down. Michael, driven by jealousy and a bitter desire to destroy Robert's reputation and take his place, had found a way to do it. He decided to do it not with brute force, but with a horrifyingly cynical plan that used Robert's own passion and the town's folklore as a cover. Michael had spent months, maybe even years, meticulously crafting his plan. He had been researching a specific, highly potent psychoactive compound that, when applied to a gaming controller or a headset, would be absorbed through the skin over a prolonged period. This compound, a designer drug, had a devastating effect on the nervous system, causing vivid hallucinations, auditory disturbances, and a profound disassociation with reality. It was the perfect murder weapon, a poison that killed slowly, silently, and without leaving a trace that any sane person would find. He knew that the symptoms of the poison would perfectly align with the town's existing ghost stories, making his crime look like a supernatural event. He didn't just poison Robert, he weaponized his passion. He knew that Robert, with his habit of spending hours with a single game, would be slowly but surely poisoned through his skin. The flickering of the game was a deliberate choice, designed to be unsettling and to further the belief in a paranormal entity, making the victim question his own sanity. The hallucinations and the distorted voices were not supernatural phenomena. They were the effects of the poison on Robert's mind, driving him to the very brink of madness before killing him. Michael, in his bitterness, had sent Robert the prototype controller as a gesture of goodwill, a perfect, undetectable method of delivering the poison. He was a monster, but a human one, using folklore and a forgotten poison as his greatest weapon. I presented my findings to my colleagues, and together we confronted Michael. He confessed, a bitter triumph in his eyes. He admitted to poisoning Robert, using the town's superstitions as the ultimate cover. The poison was undetectable in a normal autopsy, but with the specific samples we had, the lab boys found a trace of it. He was a man consumed by jealousy, and he had used his extensive knowledge to commit a crime so perfectly tailored to the victim and the environment that no one would ever suspect a human hand was behind it. No curse, just a man, a grudge, and a forgotten poison. Conclusions and reflections. So, there you have it. No evil spirits, no curses, just a chilling case of human vengeance. This one showed me how easily a person can turn another's belief into a weapon. They want you to blame a ghost because the truth, a man consumed by a grudge, is far more terrifying. This case proved that the most dangerous monsters aren't paranormal, but human. Stay sharp.